Hey, T-Sippers, I was not trying to go live. I was trying to set it up. But since I'm here, I'm not going to be here long. But since I am here, let me, hey, let me title it correctly. I was trying to get ready for my other backup page, and I was trying to set this one up for tomorrow, and it went live. So let me go and get this out the way. Come on in, hit the like button. I don't think he should have. Y'all should not have voted for him. He is a criminal. Criminal. Y'all come on in. Let me, I see why he don't want this shit to come out. Criminal misconduct. This is crazy. This is crazy. And he had the nerve to call him a pervert. What did he call him yesterday? False imprisonment. So he was trafficking. Y'all, did y'all see this? You have the nerve. The God. Hi, Tammy. Y'all, I just... Oh my God, this was not, oh my God. Have y'all seen this? Jane Doe proceeding under a pseudonym. Plaintiff versus Donald J. Trump and Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein. This was back in the day. Jury trial demanded. Complaint for, hold on. Hi, Eric. This was back in 2016. Hell, what year is this? That's less than 10 years ago. Complaint of 8 sexual misconduct, criminal sexual acts, sexual abuse, forcible touching, SA, well, now just A, battery, intentional and reckless infliction of emotional distress, duress, false imprisonment, and defamation. Y'all, please hit the like button. They are horrible. False imprisonment. That's kidnapping. Ain't that the kidnapping? Plaintiff Jane Doe proceeded under pseudonym brings this action against Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein and alleged that parties plaintiff is an individual residing in and citizen of the United States of California. Defendant, plaintiff, so this is in California. One was in California, one was in New York. Next page. Hold on, let me let y'all get in here and get these likes up. Hold on. I'm gonna just sit here for a minute while I get situated. Oh, this only got 27. Can I turn it this way? Mm-hmm. 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 Can y'all believe that? Well, we go to start reading pages. She demanded a jury trial. Minor. Yep. shockers. I guess I was so shocked. Hell, I was just trying to get it set up for tomorrow. And I guess it said, oh, AunTeaFee, we're not waiting till tomorrow, boo-boo. You finna show the people today. Today. I think we got a whole... And he had the nerve to call him a weirdo or whatever he said yesterday. Where is the other tablet? Oh, Lord. Let me make sure. Can y'all believe that? False imprisonment. Oh, yeah. Get the lights up. Can we believe it? Talking about what he hiding.
Today's news is incredibly salacious, and so we are bringing in Katie Fang to hear what she has to say. Welcome,
I've had
Katie.
it. Do you know what's going on?
I'm struggling through this idea of salacious and Katie, but you know what? I'll take it. Why not? I've heard worse adjectives. I've heard better adjectives. But
That was
salacious
my
Katie,
bad.
I'll take that one. No, it's not.
Katie, we are so glad you're here to join us. Jennifer's on vacation, so I appreciate you pinch hitting. I wanted to talk to you about all the crazy stuff with
I need
MAGA.
the other
MAGA is
tablet.
melting down
I know
on
they
this
are.
whole Jeffrey Epstein
Because
cover-up.
he's
What are your
going
thoughts on that?
down.
Well, I want to look at it from the lens of being a lawyer, right? And what I did is, after I heard all of this BS coming from Pamela Joe, why she's not going to release it, and that really reluctant kind of Dan Bingo Boingo Bongino hedging on it, as well as Cash Patel, I went back to the indictment, the last superseding indictment for Ghislaine Maxwell. Because remember, she got indicted after Epstein died, and I'll put that with an asterisk, right? So you go back to this indictment, and the crazy thing is, it clearly states in at least 2 of the counts for which she was indicted by a grand jury, and she went to a jury trial, and she was convicted, and she's serving a sentence in federal prison, that she conspired with Jeffrey Epstein, quote, and others, end quote. So at a minimum, there are conspirators, co-conspirators that participated in criminal conduct. There have been multiple grand juries impaneled, and putting aside the confidentiality of grand jury records, which I understand that at this point with Epstein dead, Maxwell in prison, you know, I think they should all be out. But you also have civil litigation. So what I don't understand is, if there's nothing to see here, move along, people, then what's the harm in releasing all of it with the proper redactions to protect the safety and the identities of the victims? I am not saying let's do an expose on victims. I want to focus on the people that had their fingerprints and their DNA, literally, involved in this. And I don't give a shit if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Put it all out there and let the American public judge as they should.
I completely agree. What fascinates me about this whole thing is these conspiracy theorists who are like pedophile rings at pizza gates in basements that they don't have basements, that they're not making the leap. Like, Epstein died under Trump. Epstein's files are not released under Trump. And then, you know, obviously MAGA, I don't give them that much credit, but the Dan Bonginos, who he hasn't connected the dots. Like, I don't understand that. That's what fascinates me, is somebody who knows, that's been in the FBI. They know. Elon Musk knows, because he told us on his Twitter account he knows. So how are they not, I mean, I guess they really believed it? Is that what my takeaway is?
I don't think they ever legitimately believe it. I think they are people of convenience, right? And so for them, they know what the red meat is for that base. I think the problem ends up being the lack of accountability, as in self kind of accountability. Like, I made a mistake. Like, I bought into this hook and sinker and I never should have. No, what they're struggling with is, how do I abandon these very public forward-facing statements I've made about the value of these files and how they have been suppressed and hidden by Democratic administrations and Democratic DOJs, and now clearly we have a Republican administration, a Republican DOJ, a Republican AG, and she literally is gatekeeping information that all of them have made such a big stink over years. I'm not talking just a couple of weeks. For years, they have ridden this horse to death. And now they're standing there looking, they're like, well, why is the horse dead? Like, what am I supposed to do with it? Well, dumbasses, like, we're not going to let it go to the glue factory. Like, we're going to make sure that it's out there, which is why Ro Khanna was like, hey, here's an amendment. Let's vote on it. And of course, the House Republicans are like, psych, we don't really want the Americans to see what's in this.
Right, that's a perfect segue because last night they went in like under cover of darkness and voted against releasing the files. What does that say to you?
That says that old lady right there in the middle of this picture needs to get the hell out of Congress. And, you know, it just goes to show that we are fighting a battle as Democrats against people that constantly are changing the rules, constantly moving goalposts, and constantly changing the landscape of the battle and the fights. You know, in my opinion, it means to me that rules just don't apply, right? Like,
right.
The rules don't apply, the laws don't have any meat, and they don't have any basis in reason with these people. So it's kind of like, do we continue to try to engage? So I commend Ro Khanna because he said, I'm just going to keep on bringing it up over and over and over again until something happens, and good for him.
Can y'all believe that?
We can also kind of pay attention to all the other stuff.
Can y'all believe that they have been,
Yeah, I do think it's getting better, but how about Ghislaine Maxwell has volunteered to testify in front of Congress? I mean, that, if the midterm...
So she would have known this, though, y'all.
If we actually get to a
Ghislaine Maxwell would have known this.
Saying, yeah, I'll come testify. You know, the Republicans are blocking
You understand?
it, but I think that the Democrats would allow it. Wouldn't you assume they would?
What's crazy is that you're bringing up a graphic from Drudge Report, which, as you and I know, for years was like such a pro-Republican, conservative kind of rag, you know, very MAGA. But even Drudge they lost Drudge a while. And, you know, it just goes to show that we are fighting a battle as Democrats against people that constantly are changing the rules, constantly changing the rules, and constantly changing the landscape of the battle and the fights. You know, in my opinion, it means to me that rules just don't apply, right? Like,
right.
The rules don't apply, the laws don't have any meat, and they don't have any basis in reason with these people. So it's kind of like, do we continue to try to engage? So I commend Ro Khanna because he said, I'm just going to keep on bringing it up over and over and over again until something happens. And good for him. At the same time, though,
are y'all still talking about Epstein? I mean, really?
Which I think we're doing pretty well.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
y'all done been sued together.
Ghislaine Maxwell has volunteered to testify in front of Congress. I mean, that
criminal.
If the midterms actually happen, and
criminal
if we actually get to a Democratic majority, and Ghislaine Maxwell's out there saying, "Yeah, I'll come testify."
This wasn't civil.
You know, the Republicans are blocking it, but I think that the Democrats would allow it. Wouldn't you assume they would?
What's crazy is that you're bringing up a graphic from Drudge Report, which, as you and I know,
and he had the nerve to say they've been taking
conservative,
aping people since for millions of years.
Drudge they lost Drudge a while ago, and so anyway, I said when all of this Epstein stuff resurfaced, I was not kidding when I said that they needed to put this woman in protective custody. Because she is literally one of the last people that has the direct one-on-one knowledge with Jeffrey Epstein. And I do think it's a big tell. You and I also kind of knowing the law of the land and the legal landscape, I think it's a big tell that she's never said anything. Yeah, I don't know if it's because she's been holding out, although really I think she would have spilled the beans to help her sentencing. But what's crazy is that, is she feeling intimidated that she is not going to say something? I mean, there's a lot there. And so I wasn't kidding when I'm like, maybe we need to put her in protective custody because, again, I put that asterisk there about Jeffrey Epstein, but whatever.
Okay, let me ask you this question. So Pam Bondi releases the footage, but doesn't go in and scrub the meth data.
She was held by defendant Epstein.
Spliced that video.
Placed
and then
at
you have
several
Ghislaine Maxwell.
parties.
She's still in jail. My thought is, if she
During
were
the
going to
summer,
testify in front of Congress or
94.
give a statement, wouldn't the powers that be in the Justice Department just tell her, leave all
She was
references to
13.
Trump out? And
Y'all see
given
that?
the fact that then he could pardon her, she might do that. I mean, do you think that's a possibility, or have I gone down the crazy conspiracy rabbit hole?
This is what D.L. Hughley was talking about, y'all,
Crazy pardons is
on the
crazy,
live
right? 'Cause
before
we've seen
this.
them happen. I mean, we still know that P. Diddy is pending sentencing, but he's gunning for a pardon still, right, for his crazy conviction.
He better not. He better leave. He better leave
That's a
all
really
the.
interesting thought. I think that she has nothing to lose, though, so I think she's too much of a wild card for
Are
the
y'all
DOJ.
seeing this?
Meaning, even if she said she wasn't going to say something about somebody like Donald Trump, there's really nothing stopping her per se. And I also think that those types of backroom deals eventually see the light, and I think that
Actual
even
misconduct,
this DOJ knows
criminal.
that they were trying to strike a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell where she doesn't say something about Donald Trump and others in exchange for either getting a reduced sentence or getting a pardon. I don't think anybody would actually keep that
I
under
need for y'all to
wraps.
get the likes up,
And
please.
it's weird because now we're championing people in the world of MAGA that are taking a stand, but like, can I footnote something for a hot second? Bongino hasn't gone to his job since last week. Who the hell doesn't get to go to their job?
Right.
Because they're mad at their coworker over a pedophile. Like, that just kind of gives you an idea of how messed up MAGA land is, that this guy said, peace out to my job for the long weekend and then some. And nobody's like, are you going to come do your job? I mean, the guy works in the FBI, but he's not going to go to his job.
Well, and you know what's interesting is he was all over Fox News crying about the stress, and I'm just like,
of God,
because he
hello.
misses his kids. I'm like, dude, women have been putting their kids in daycare and going to work for years, decades even, and they're not on the news crying about it.
They
like,
were
this whole
charged
men are more emotional than women. It just
together.
goes all through me. So here was what I was surprised about in retrospect. I'm surprised they didn't release the Epstein files and conveniently remove the parts that reference Trump. That to me would have seemed like a better solution because MAGA would have gotten what they wanted and he would have been kept out of it. Do you think it's too late in the game for them to go back and do that?
I don't think it's a secret. We all know that Trump had a long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, some of which is above board, some of which suggests allegedly that it's not, right? So I'm sure his name appears multiple times throughout it. We know that the plane logs, the flight logs reflect that at a minimum. And let me be clear, that also reflects the people that are part of the Democrats, right? I mean, sure. I do think maybe this transcends just the Trump references, though. I think there may be references to other very big businessmen, maybe even women in the Republican establishment that Trump is trying to protect as well. These are people that give him money. These are donors, I bet you. I mean, Epstein wasn't picky about party affiliation in terms of who he rubbed elbows with, right? And so I think that could be part of it. But you know what's outrageous? We're having these conversations and living in the land of speculation. Why not just release it, redact the victims, make sure we don't see inappropriate videos, make sure we're not promoting anything that is illegal or criminal in conduct, and then why don't we just let people deal with the consequences as the chips fall, right? It's just, what is it? Is it the butterfly effect? Is that what you call it? Like, or the Barbara Streisand effect? It's like, the less you want to talk about it, the more we're talking about it. And the thing is we're not going to let it go because it's in the vein of Pizzagate. It's in the vein of these crazy conspiracy theories, it was all the Democrats' fault for not releasing this information. And now we're sitting here being like, hello, TikTok. It's all within your control, and y'all are just sitting on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's an interesting thing about the not talking about it.
I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
Is this going to work for the base is my question.
No, I think it's going to generate more interest and more questions. The thing about Charlie Kirk is, if you listen carefully to what he said, first of all, didn't it look like he was reading from a script? It looked like he was reading through something. One. Yes. Two, he was careful. Two, he said, I'm done talking about the Epstein stuff, quote, for the time being. So I think even he is not going to let this bone go, especially because putting aside the people talking about it that are the very public marquee name people, if you go, which I don't, by the way, but if you go and you check out all the chatter and all these crazy, like, you know, incel places and like people's parents' basements and shit, like they're still talking about it and they're mad. Pissed. It's not like, hey, I wonder why. It's more like, release them now. Why are you lying? Etc. So I'm like, okay, well, let them, you know, self-immolate and let them cannibalize each other out of this. But in the meantime, again, come on, let's see what's out there.
I find it interesting, of all the crazy shit that Trump has done, this is what his base is not letting go. You know, taking a jet from Qatar and spending all this money on his military parade and, you know, best friends with Vladimir Putin, all that shit, they just let it roll off them like water off a duck's back. But this is what they're hanging on to. I just find that interesting.
I was doing a Substack live with my buddies, the Good Liars.
Oh, I've
and
them.
They, oh my God, they trip me out. So they told me that when they go to these rallies, I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. When you talk to these MAGA people and, you know, they're obsessing over their cult leader and then something happens that is obvious, calling out Trump that he lied about something, right? Like it obviously refutes. The truth comes and the reality comes and it smacks him in the face. Like, do they then say, well, you know, buyer's remorse or, you know, I have to eat some crow?
Can y'all believe this? That's all I want to know.
They said, no, because for them, they just have to make up a reason behind why that happened. So they said for that stupid birthday military parade, right? Which we all thought was just, oh, him stroking his ego, which definitely it was.
Right.
Which they told me that they were going to this parade on his birthday, and they thought, because they have their little QAnon chats and their crazy Reddits and whatever, that was going to be the beginning of the military takeover of the United States. That Trump had assembled you laugh, but these mofos are like totally buying this shit. That Trump had assembled the military in the nation's capital, and that would commence the civil war and the military takeover of the U.S. So when it didn't happen, they of course are like, okay, well, it was just the beginning, and it was just like the prelude to what it is. So when you try to extrapolate to something like Epstein, it's like a lot of them haven't been hit by the big bullshit bill cuts yet. Because the Republicans scammed everybody into, you know, stacking it up at a timing where it's going to kick in post 2026 midterms, whatever. So, you know, they're bored. And like, they aren't impacted by Russia, Ukraine. What do they care that Ukraine now gets the military aid? The tariffs they're complaining about, but they're still blaming other countries because they're too dumb to realize that it actually trickles down to them as the consumer.
Right.
So they're bored. And the conspiracy theories are the ones that give them life. It's the ones that generate the crazy ass chats, like group chats, like, hey, you know, Bubba, did you notice that, like, you know, the Epstein, like that type of energy gives them life, which is why they're not going to let this stuff go.
Well, I'm enjoying watching it. I need popcorn. Katie Fang, thank you so much for joining us. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back soon.
Get the likes up so we can read it. Get the likes up so we can read it. The girl was 13 at the time that all of this happened to her. Ouch. Where my lights at? Oh yeah, this too good for me not to have my lights where they need to be. Court has original subject. So this was civil and criminal. What about 75,000? An amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. That's more than 75,000. Yeah. Each is subject to judicial court. Hi, PJ. Hi, Deborah. Y'all see this? Trump and Epstein was here with lawsuit together back in the day. Child was 14 years old. This is what D.L. Hughley was talking about when he was talking to TMZ and he got quiet. Harvey got quiet. Cause I know I didn't know this was out like this. Did y'all know this was out here like this? That Trump and Epstein, false imprisonment, all of these. Oh Lord, what am I on? I need to move it back some. Can y'all see that? It was back in 1994. She was 14 years old. No, 13. It says during this period, plaintiff was a minor of age 13 and was legally yeah, baby, she the 8 is the first, second, and third degree. The actual misconduct, criminal actual acts in the first, second, and third degree. Oh, wow. Y'all get the likes up. This is crazy. This is crazy. Mm-hmm. What am I on? I wonder what happened with this case. They made it disappear. Yep, this is what D.L. Hughley was talking about. And TMZ steady making excuses for him. What time is it? You know, y'all know I ain't gonna get y'all this type of tea without my likes up, baby. I have to draw the line. I have to draw the line. Married Tennessee, ex-Tennessee cops who got fired.
You can say all day and night what you would have done.
Yeah, this is just way too much. Let's see if I can fix this. Oh, I need this. Did I leave it in the other room? Dang. I'm waiting on y'all to get my likes up. Wow, minor. Donald Trump. What did he call Epstein? Did he call him weird? Did he call him? Dude, whatever you was calling him is you. Tiffany Doe. That was a Tiffany Doe, a Jane Doe, and a John Doe. So it was 3 people. (1984 and 85 school year). These are kids, y'all. Oh my God. Y'all see why they acting a fool? I don't know. I'm beginning to believe Epstein did not unalive himself. That was, they fell for it. What they fall for? They getting slipped up and tripped up. This was 51 minutes ago. This one was 38. Y'all, this is not good. Candidates Day is still selling. Oh shit. Russian drop. Oh yeah. Why don't y'all just go ahead and impeach him?
Who's running for re-election is the father of a new baby. Congratulations on that as well. So I just played the clip of you saying what I think everybody was thinking, but you articulated it the best way. Did anyone actually expect Donald Trump to be an advocate for releasing Epstein files or any more information? What do you think? I just gave my
He just switched it up.
What do you think is holding him back? What's behind it?
Well, they really tied themselves up into knots by making this such a centerpiece of their campaign. You know, the Attorney General was testifying before Congress just a couple of months ago that there were hundreds of thousands of files and there were all these tapes and they'd all be coming out. And now they've done this 180, which they can't explain. And the story doesn't add up. And like I said, I mean, would you really expect Donald Trump, given his past associations with Mr. Epstein and given his past record of misconduct, to be trying to put this out there? I don't know, but I think the
Why they not talking about these old 8
is
charges?
yet another broken promise. And This is the same administration that has just defunded hospitals, clinics, nursing homes in order to cut taxes for the wealthy after running a populist campaign that was supposed to be about the interests of the working class. This is the same administration that promised to lower prices on day one. Prices are still rising. It's the same administration that promised to end these wars overseas. The wars are still raging. And so, you're seeing a lot of disappointment and consternation among the president's base, not just because of this Epstein matter, but because this is an administration that is passing legislation to support the elite and the wealthy, and that is failing to make good on a whole lot of its commitments.
I just played a couple of clips of Democrats making this argument, which I agree is quite accurate, that they ran as the party of the anti-elite party. Trump ran as the anti-elite party. And now it seems he's exactly that. I mean, he's always exactly been that, but he's almost being caught by his own base. Do you think that's a good argument? You're actually out there on the campaign trail. You're running for re-election. Is that a good argument that people are identifying with?
Yeah, I mean, this guy's trying to rule the country from his golden palace in Florida and accepting, flying palaces from foreign despots, which he intends to keep after his presidency. His son-in-law's taken $2 billion from the Saudi royal family. His two boys are flying all over the world, cutting deals and closing deals right before he touches down on state visits. He's got foreign billionaire oligarchs under federal investigation funneling tens of millions of dollars into his businesses while he sits in the White House and grants them audiences in exchange for that money. And I would say to the president's supporters, go and fact check everything I just said. I mean, it's stunning the depth of corruption and how
they line in their
the
pockets.
policy focuses entirely on the interests of the elite benefactors of his campaign and the GOP. And I think in Georgia, where we've lost nearly a dozen rural hospitals in the last 15 years, where healthcare shortages are widespread, where 70% of seniors in nursing homes depend upon Medicaid, the rubber meets the road when you pass a multi-trillion-dollar budget and you throw working class and middle class families under the bus. It's a political disaster for them in Georgia.
He shouldn't have fell out with Elon, baby.
Well-being.
I know he hates
I
today.
just played this clip, or I just talked about this clip of Senator Josh Hawley, who basically said, he started to walk back from his support for the bill within a week of voting for the bill. Now he says he wants to propose legislation that would kind of halt some of the Medicaid cuts. What do you make of that? What does that tell you?
Look, he was making all.
He's talking about the Epstein file is some pretty boring stuff.
Because they live in fear of the White House. They live in fear of retaliation from the president, as Senator Lisa Murkowski has said publicly. But Senator Tillis stood there on the Senate floor and he admonished his Republican colleagues. He said, look, 600,000 plus North Carolinians are going to get thrown off Medicaid if you pass this bill. The president's breaking his promises on Medicaid. He did something courageous and they ran him right out of the Republican Party for it. No Georgia Republicans in Congress had the courage to stand up for the health and welfare of my constituents, our constituents in Georgia. They put loyalty to Trump over loyalty to our state. Those are some of the same folks who want to run for this U.S. Senate seat. And by the way, I need help from folks across the country to defend this U.S. Senate seat, and they can.
He was the most famous prison inmate in America.
I'm sorry.
Discover the free Wi-Fi router built with the same technology used in space stations. Captures your internet directly from satellites, allowing you to connect.
And joining me now is promised Senator John Ossoff, a Democrat.
Policy focuses entirely on the interests of the elite benefactors of his campaign and the GOP. And I think in Georgia, where we've lost nearly a dozen rural hospitals in the last 15 years, where healthcare shortages are widespread, where 70% of seniors in nursing homes depend upon Medicaid, the rubber meets the road when you pass a multi-trillion-dollar budget and you throw working class and middle class families under the bus. It's a political disaster for them in Georgia, and it's a disaster for my constituents' health and well-being.
He don't care. It's population control.
I just talked about this clip of Senator Josh Hawley, who basically said, he started to walk back from his support for the bill within a week of voting for the bill. Now he says he wants to propose legislation.
They real tight, y'all. They was real tight.
What do you make of that? What does that tell you?
Look, he was making all this noise about opposing these Medicaid cuts, and then, like most of them, rolled over under pressure because they live in fear.
Why Harvey Levin ain't said nothing about that? This old lawsuit.
Senator Lisa Murkowski has said publicly. But Senator Tillis stood there on the Senate floor and he admonished his Republican colleagues. He said, look, 600,000 plus North Carolinians are going to get thrown off Medicaid if you pass this bill. The president's breaking his promises on Medicaid. He did something courageous and they ran him right out of the Republican Party for it. No Georgia Republicans in Congress had the courage to stand up for the health and welfare of my constituents, our constituents in Georgia. They put loyalty.
He's a traitor of his own country.
Loyalty to our state. Those are some of the same folks who want to run for this U.S. Senate seat. And by the way, I need help from folks across the country to defend this U.S. Senate seat, and they can help at electjohn or electjon.com.
It was very smooth. I did want to ask you another question about your Senate run. You did a rally where the reception, I can just describe, I've been around politics a long time, is much closer to weeks before an election. It felt to me watching the video than as far out as we are. What are you hearing most from people? I mean, one of the challenges with this big ugly bill, as I like to call it, is a lot of people didn't know a lot about it, which is an opportunity in its own way to know about it.
Hit the like button.
Their concerns as you're traveling around Georgia.
I've never seen opposition energy like this before. And folks remember my story, right? I ran in that 2017 special election in Georgia, the first big race of the Trump era, and then Senator Warnock and I were elected together in those historic doubleheader overtime runoffs in 2021. Really high energy moments. I've never seen it like this before. Thousands of people are coming out to events that I'm hosting a year
They were best friends.
And it's not me. It's the moment.
They caught a case together.
Our republic is in peril. This administration is looting the country on behalf of its donors. The level of corruption is something unprecedented in American history, and people are ready to take action.
Senator John Ossoff, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're busy and you're barely sleeping.
We have a vote in just a second, but I wanted to
You have a vote. I'm grateful for you stopping by. We're just across the street, so thank you for stopping by.
So much.
Congratulations on the new addition to your family.
Thank you.
I introduced today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files. This is a question of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting the rich and the powerful who've put their thumb on the scales of government to suck out millions of dollars while working class Americans suffer? Or are you on the side of the people? The Attorney General said on her desk was the Epstein file. And now she's saying, no, nothing to see, don't release it.
Well, House Republicans took that question from Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna and said, we'll represent the rich and the powerful over the American people, because they essentially blocked an amendment that Ro Khanna attempted to pass in the House Rules Committee that would essentially force the release of the Epstein files. So again, Khanna's amendment would have forced Congress to vote on whether or not the Department of Justice should release said files. And today, the entire House actually voted on that amendment, and we'll tell you about how that went down shortly, because that's a really important update to this story. But first, let's start with what happened in the Rules Committee, shall we? So all 4 Democrats on the committee voted yes. They wanted, and 1 Republican, I should note, voted yes on Khanna's amendment. 7 other Republicans, though, voted against the amendment, thus killing it, blocking it. Now, after the amendment failed, Khanna wrote the following. Rules voted 5-7 to block the full House from voting on my amendment to have a full release of the Epstein files. People are fed up. We are fed up. Thanks, Ralph Norman, that's the Republican who actually voted in favor of the bill, or of the amendment, I should say, need to put the American people before party. Now, 7 Republicans who voted against the amendment were Virginia Foxx, a Republican from North Carolina. You also have Michelle Fischbach, a Republican from Minnesota, Aaron Hochin from Indiana, Nicholas Langworthy from New York, Austin Scott from Georgia, Morgan Griffith from Virginia, and Brian Jack from Georgia. We're going to revisit these individuals in just a moment, but before we do, I want to stop for comment, Cenk.
Told you. What did I do?
I want to stop for comment, Cenk.
Hi, Cindy. Our checks and balances have failed. Yep. He's a 33, 34 time over convicted felon. We should have put that to rest. I'm going to my backup page since y'all not hitting the like button.